Welcome to the Collegiate iRacing League's College Prototype Challenge. I am Sky Shrek. I will be commentating tonight for the Hungaroring Grand Prix, the, I believe, fourth race of the Collegiate Prototype Challenges season so far. Our points leader by a very large margin coming into tonight is Jordan Johnson from Kent State University. We've seen him win all three of the races so far, and that's, I think, going to be the main story tonight, is if he can go out and try to win his fourth consecutive race in this series. But he's going to have a lot of challengers, most notably the drivers from Ball State. Muhammad Alif, who's been up there fighting for those wins in every race this season. His teammates, Cale Davidson, Lucas Moody, Bradley Skanker, they're all going to be ones to watch as everyone tries to chase down and take down Jordan Johnson and his grip on this series. We're on board right now watching Muhammad Alif of Ball State as he heads around this racetrack. It's a very famous one. F1's run here many times. It's a staple on the schedule, and it's a pretty unique racetrack. It's a very fast, flowy racetrack. Not as many slow corners here as you'd get on some other racetracks. A lot of fast, sweeping corners with some hairpins mixed in as well, and those hairpins are likely where we're going to see the most passing opportunities tonight. Him coming up the hill here. It's a 2.8-mile racetrack. Lap times are usually pretty low here compared to some other places in this series runs, so we think it's going to be a really fun race over the 45 minutes here. You see him through the right-hander, swapping sides of the track to go the very fast left-right complex. I mean, it's a very fast racetrack. A lot of speed that you carry all the way around here. Coming down now through the turns. One of the turns, I believe turn 11. Muhammad Alif second in points at the moment. We've seen a very good run. We've seen multiple good runs from him this season. I mean, he won the Clash, which was not a points-paying race as he comes back to the start-finish line. Finished second in the first race of the season. I believe he unofficially won the first race of the season, but was later docked on a penalty for running Jordan Johnson off the track. That set him back and put him in second for the week. He finished second in our second race of the season, but Jordan Johnson last week at Daytona won by a full minute over Alif in the most dominating performance in the 10 seasons of any series of the Collegiate iRacing League. And he's going to be looking to repeat that tonight. As we watch Alif come around, this practice is going to be really important. This is an open setup series, so these drivers are going to want the chance to hone their setups to make sure they're working well for the race so you don't get caught out on something that just doesn't work heading into the later stages of this race. Fast left-hander. It's going to be a little slower through this right-hander. As I said, very fast racetrack. It's one that you're always on the wheel. You know, not a lot of braking in comparison to tracks we've run recently like Spa and Indy. It's much faster. It's a very flowing track, and it's one that with these cars and these drivers I think is really going to be a lot of fun tonight. 7 minutes left in this practice session before we head into qualifying, and then the race for tonight's 45 minutes as are most races in this series. It's not one of our endurance races as we got last week at Daytona, which was a 90-minute event that provided tons of action. It's half the length of that one, and if the action we saw was any indication, this one is going to be just as good here tonight. As the first qualifying times are starting to be set, Lucas Moody of Ball State, fastest of the Ball State cars so far, as they're all the first ones making their laps. You see Jordan Johnson coming around here in that Acura ARX 06 prototype car to start his lap. First four cars across all Ball State cars. They're all clearly wanting to make runs early and often in this qualifying session. It's only 10 minutes to set your time, and you see them holding the top four spots right now over Whitlock of Alabama Huntsville, Burrell of Clemson, and Turek from the Penn College of Technology. Jordan Johnson continuing around here. He's taken pole. He took pole by a full second last week, and I think the competition is really going to be between him and these Ball State drivers for pole position in this race, as we've seen many other times this season. I mean, we've seen a Leaf up there, Jordan Johnson's been up there, many of a Leaf's teammates, guys like Lucas Moody, Cale Davidson, continually fighting for these top couple spots in qualifying. We also have drivers like Hunter Hadesty, Ryan Whitlock, who we've seen at the front of the field, but we haven't necessarily seen them get the finishes that they would hope for. I mean, Ryan Whitlock, 8th in points after a devastating crash last week from a points position that took out Andrew Burrow as well. Burrow, I mean, he doesn't have any points yet. He's all the way down in 17th. He's going to be looking for a good day to maybe get his season back on track. And straight to the top of the charts, Jordan Johnson, a full second faster than the current second place Cale Davidson from Ball State. Dominating lap from him as we're about halfway through this qualifying session now. And now watching Hunter Hadesty come around from Clemson. Currently sitting 8th on the board out of the 11 cars to set laps so far. 0.4 of a second behind his teammate in that Clemson car, Andrew Burrell. He'll come around turn 14 here to set his updated qualifying time. And we'll see if it's an improvement. It is. He's going to move up 2 spots, my bad, on the board, beating out Leaf and Burrell to take that provisional 6th position. 15 drivers out here tonight representing many different colleges. 12 of them have laps on the board. Halterman from UNC Charlotte, Austin DeLong from the Penn College of Technology, and Aiken Lamar of Howard Community College, the 3 drivers who are yet to set a lap time in this qualifying session. Ryan Whitlock continuing around here. We saw him, I mean, again, he's had a lot of really good runs in this series, but he has mostly been unable to get the finishes. We've seen him in several accidents this season. Just hasn't had very clean races. He'll definitely be looking to turn that around tonight, but it's not been the best start to the season by any means for the University of Alabama Huntsville's Ryan Whitlock. Heading through the final section of this racetrack now, it's going to lead him back out onto the main straightaway to set that lap time. And we'll see what kind of lap time it is for him here. Up to 4th, he's going to get in the Ball State mix there, in between a Leaf, Davidson, Skinker, and Moody, interrupting the Great Wall of Ball State there in the top 6 positions. And here we see Alan Hong, St. Clair College, must have had a crash on his first qualifying lap with how far behind he is. We'll see what he can do here. And I am not sure if it was any better, quite honestly. He might have had another off track or some kind of other issue causing him problems there, preventing him from getting the lap time that he wants to run. As Aiken Lamar of Howard Community College, one of our 3 drivers tonight who has not set a lap yet, is looking around this racetrack here for position. Coming down into the right-hander. I mean, Halterman has also not run a lap. I do not believe Austin DeLong is running tonight. I believe he is our race steward who has accidentally joined as a driver. So I believe we have a 14-car field for tonight's race. Aiken Lamar, one of 2 yet to set a time, and he's going to try to do that right now in that Acura prototype machine. Across the line, he will go P9 on the board, right in between Andrew Burrell of Clemson and Mark Turek of the Penn College of Technology. Quiet track right now over the Hungaroring. Jordan Johnson is looking like he's going to be your pole sitter tonight with a 131.089 on the board. 0.4 ahead of R. Muhammad Alif in second. As always, that'll probably be our main battle tonight. A second back from Johnson to Cale Davidson in third, Whitlock in 4th, and Skinker in 5th. That's our top 5 tonight as we get some scenic views of the Hungaroring. It's a very fun racetrack. It's one very popular in F1. They come here frequently. Been coming here for years now. And it's one that I think always puts on a show. It's also a very fun track to drive, in my opinion. I mean, if you've ever played this on iRacing or on one of the F1 games, I think it's a very enjoyable racetrack. It's very fun to just set hot laps here. I think it flows really well, and I think that's going to lend itself, hopefully, to some pretty good racing tonight. Continuing to finish up this qualifying session, I do not believe Clint Halterman is going to get out to set a lap, which is going to lead us with 13 drivers tonight actually making a run in this qualifying session. As time expires through that session, and we move in to the 5-minute warm-up here before we hit the race. Gonna get those qualifying results ready for you here shortly. We head through the last little warm-up session here. 5 minutes for the drivers to make any last-minute changes, any last-minute adjustments, and that should hopefully, get their cars where they want them for this race. So we're having a little bit of issues here with the graphics that we will work out in a second to get you those qualifying results. But I can tell you, another dominating pole position for Jordan Johnson. I don't think we're going to see the 58 seconds worth of domination that we saw last week at Daytona, but it will be a pretty interesting fight here. I am sure of it. And now, here we go. Never mind. A lot of Cadillacs in the field tonight. I mean, you see a lot of the Ball State drivers, most of the Ball State drivers running those. The exceptions being the 69 car of Cale Davidson for Ball State in the Porsche. Jordan Johnson of Kent State will be running the Acura for tonight, along with Hunter Hadesty of Clemson. But yeah, a lot of the cars, when you see both the St. Clair cars in the Cadillac, you see Lucas Moody, Skinker, Alif, all the Ball State cars will be in the Cadillacs tonight. Halterman also in the Cadillac. I think it's going to make it. It's going to be a fight not just about setups and about teams, but about cars as well in this prototype challenge. And here is our starting grid for tonight. Jordan Johnson rolls off first for Kent State University. R. Muhammad Alif, P2 for Ball State, followed by his teammate, Cale Davidson, P3. Ryan Whitlock, P4 from the University of Alabama, Huntsville, and Bradley Skinker, P5 from Ball State University. P6, Hunter Hadesty from Clemson, and P7, Lucas Moody, also of Ball State University. Hadesty's teammate lines up behind him in P8, Andrew Burrell, also of Clemson University. P9 is Aiken Lamar from Howard Community College. Mark Turek, P10. Adrian Tubakovic of St. Clair in 11th. Jason Wallet, the lone Drexel car in the field, will roll off 12th. Alan Hong, also of St. Clair, 13th. And our last car in the field tonight will be Clint Halterman, 14th for UNC Charlotte, as Austin DeLong will be our race steward for tonight. Finishing up this warm-up session here, it's a very beautiful racetrack. I mean, Hungary, it's not a country I feel like you see a lot about in the world of motorsports. Very few drivers from Hungary, and it's a country that is mostly represented by its racetrack, the Hungaroring in F1 for decades. Just a famous, iconic racetrack through the hills of Hungary, back and forth across the landscape. Always a fun time tonight, and it will be a fun time for the 14 competitors we will have out here tonight in the College Prototype Challenge. Looking at Cale Davidson in that Porsche from Ball State right now, making his way around the racetrack with 1 minute and 20 left in this warm-up session. And he'll actually pull it into the pits here down the front stretch. And Jordan Johnson, our pole sitter, also of Kent State, out on the racetrack right now for some practice runs here. 1 minute before we grid for the race, so this is a nice time to, make any last-minute adjustments, maybe try any new lines for the corners, get everything set up here for the actual show. It's going to be a very competitive field tonight. 14 cars. Not a lot of entrants tonight, but I think that'll make for some pretty tight racing and some pretty intense racing. The top 10 finishers get points in this series. For, I believe, the first time, we're going to see most of the field get points, and I think that's going to make this a really interesting showdown here. And, I mean, there's going to be a lot of cool tracks coming up. I mean, we've been to Spa, we've been to Daytona in this series, Indianapolis. Looking ahead in future weeks, we have Belle Isle, Le Mans. We have a double header with the College Cup Series coming up at Montreal, which is sure to be a fun one. Lots of good racing on the schedule in this series, looking not just at this race, but beyond this week as well. As Lucas Moody drives around the track here to end off our warm-up session, taking us to the green flag for tonight. A little loose out of that corner, but he keeps it straight, makes the save. We've seen a couple races here that have just been wars of attrition in this series. As we take one more look at our starting grid, our top 5 for tonight. Jordan Johnson, once again on pole. On his outside is going to be R. Muhammad Alif. That's been the main battle we've been watching all season, and it will continue again tonight, at least off the start. Cale Davidson, his teammate, will roll off third, with Ryan Whitlock of the University of Alabama, Huntsville, looking to get his season back on track. And in fifth, we'll have another Ball State car. Bradley Skinker rounds out, I believe, what is 4 of 14 cars in this field coming from Ball State University. It's going to be a good show tonight. It's going to be an exciting race. It's going to be a fun race. And I am very happy to have y'all along for the 4th race of the College Prototype Challenge from the Hungaroring. Our cars are gridding right now. I'm going to give you all one last look here at the point standings coming into this race. You got Johnson on pole. He is the standings leader. Alif in P2 is our 2nd place, and Cale Davison, our 3rd place car, is 3rd in the standings. 4th is Edwin Onofre, who is using this as a drop week. Same with Dylan Keynes in 5th. Lucas Moody, 6th, is going to hope for a good day. Ryan Whitlock's 8th. You see him rolling off 4th. Bradley Skinker is 10th in points. Hunter Hadesty, 14th, and Clint Halterman, 15th. Both drivers very far back in the standings, where we're going to really need a good day today. And we've also got a couple drivers in the field who haven't scored any points yet this season. Wallet, Aiken Lamar, Andrew Burrell, Alan Hong, all drivers we have not seen. Mark Turek. None of these drivers have points yet, and with only 14 cars in the field, at least one of them is guaranteed to get their first points of the season. We're heading through turn 14 now. The pace car is off, and the green flag is out for the Collegiate iRacing League's College Prototype Challenge from the Hungaroring. And a great start for Jordan Johnson of Kent State University, who's going to lead them straight down into turn 1. And a big run up the inside for that Ryan Whitlock machine. He's going to be trying to push this battle. Ryan Whitlock, Cale Davidson, both of them trying to make moves on R. Muhammad Alif. But he's going to get the inside, and he's going to hold on to that 2nd position for now, chasing down Jordan Johnson, our 3-time winner in this series and current champion of the series. Cale Davidson still in 3rd. He's got Ryan Whitlock behind him. Bradley Skinker in 5th. Couple big movers on the start. You see Adrian Tubakovic up several spots. 8th for St. Clair College. I mean, he started towards the back of the field. It's a great jump for him. Aiken Lamar is going to be fighting for it. He's in that last point spot. As Bradley Skinker is starting to lose a little bit of time already to the Alabama Huntsville car of Brian Whitlock, and we have a Ball State car around in the background. My bad, St. Clair car. A lot of cars around. That's a big accident. A lot of cars involved right there. Seeing a replay of that crash. Ooh. Yeah, that's not, I mean, that's 5 of our 13 cars in a wreck on lap 1. Jason Wallet of Drexel, Aiken Lamar of Howard Community College, Mark Turek from the Penn College of Technology, and both St. Clair cars in Alan Hong and Adrian Tubakovic crashing already in this race. I mean, we saw the St. Clair cars finish bottom 3 last week, and it is already off to a disastrous start for them, as we watch Ryan Whitlock chase down Cale Davidson from Ball State in that machine. 81 Carvel Bam Huntsville. Once again, he's looking for a rebound run. Hasn't had a great time of it this season. He wants a good result today to help his situation in the points and maybe get him closer to where he's actually been running in these races. As you see him head around the corner here in pursuit of that Ball State driver, with Bradley Skinker behind and Hunter Hadesty even further back from him. Through the chicane now, it's Jordan Johnson already out to a big lead, similar to what we saw last week. 1.6 out in front of the field. Alif leading his teammate Cale Davidson there in second, and then it's a bit of a 1 second gap from all the individual cars from Davidson back to his teammate Lucas Moody in seventh before we start to get that gap to Burrow and the huge gap back to Wallet created as a result of that lap 1 accident that took out about 5 separate cars right there. I believe all of them have gotten it back going, but that's definitely not the start that those guys wanted, especially those St. Clair cars, neither of whom have managed to score points this season and who both were probably hoping for a much better run than that. Jordan Johnson sets our fastest lap of the race there so far on lap 2 with a 1:31. We're watching the battle back here for 9th. Jason Wallet of Drexel University and Aiken Lamar of the Howard Community College going at it right now for position. We also have a school championship standings in this series based on the highest finisher from any individual school participating in the race tonight. And that is a battle not just for points, but for that standings as well. Drexel currently 7th on 17 points, and Howard Community College 1 spot behind them on 16. So whoever gets the spot tonight between Lamar and Wallet is likely to move ahead of the other in those college point standings, which is something you really want to do. It's not the main championship of the series, but it's something all these drivers watch out for on a weekly basis. As you see Lamar, big run out of that corner, the inside of Jason Wallet, and he'll take 9th place for now, getting himself some extra points in that 24 Acura machine. Wallet's going to look to chase him back down. He's another driver that has not had the start he's wanted to this season. We've seen him qualify well, we've seen him run well at times, and yet, after 3 races of this series, all of which he's participated in, he is still on 0 points. This race with only 13 cars and with that big accident between the St. Clair cars early is his chance to get some points on the board and to get his name out there, get his season going the way he wants it to. And he's going to try and make that move back up on Aiken Lamar. It's not going to stick for now, but he continues about half a second back, waiting for an opportunity to make that move. As now we see Lucas Moody in P7 stalking Hunter Hadesty in that Clemson machine. Hadesty and Whitlock are interrupting kind of the Ball State train that we've seen in a few of the races this season. They're 4th and 6th, breaking up those Ball State cars in 2, 3, 5, and 7. We've seen that Ball State train continue kind of throughout all series of this league. I mean, the College Cup Series, you see Ball State consistently in the top 5. Formula C, Muhammad Alif dominates their week in, week out. And now you see Ball State 2, 3, 5, and 7 right now in the 4th race of the College Prototype Challenge. Lucas Moody is in that Cadillac, chasing down Ryan Whitlock. Chasing down Hunter Hadesty in the Acura from Clemson University. And big gaps kind of starting to form already here. I mean, we saw that crash early. That's likely damage for everyone. Pretty much 9th on back, I believe, is going to have some kind of damage now. I mean, you see Alan Hong is almost a lap down already at this racetrack. But that gap from Moody back to 8th place Burrow is 6 seconds, and the gap from him to Lamar is another 15. And that is going to be, I mean, that's like, we have a lot of laps. There's about 40-ish minutes left in this race. Might not be enough time to make that much happen. We've seen Hunter Hadesty of Clemson in line between the 2 Ball State cars of Bradley Skinker and Lucas Moody out here tonight. Lap 5 of what is projected to be 30 in this 45-minute race tonight from the Hungaroring. about a second gap in between him and Skinker and Moody. All three cars kind of equidistant from each other, keeping their distance, not really making any moves yet. I'm sure Moody will like to get up and join his teammates there, and Skinker, Davidson, and Alif further up the field, but first he does have to make his way around Hunter Hadesty in that Clemson car. And here's the battle for the last points position. 9th, 10th, and 11th, Aiken Lamar, Jason Wallet is still hounding him, but Mark Turek has made up a bunch of time and says setting up a bit of a Pennsylvania battle here for this last spot. Penn College of Technology and Philadelphia's Drexel University, both dueling it out here to get this 9th spot in the points. And really, I guess it's really a Northeast battle as well, because we got Howard from Maryland, Wallet from Drexel, Turek from Penn College of Technology. One of the rivalries here you can really only get in the CIL, the College iRacing League. Something that we wouldn't get particularly in real life, maybe in some real sports, but something that can absolutely be battled out here on the racetrack for points. And I'm sure all three of these drivers want points, because so far, none of them have scored points this season. Lamar, Wallet, and Turek have ran... Lamar and Wallet have run all three of the races. Turek has run 2 of the 3, and none of them have finished in the points at all this season. With the St. Clair cars as far back as they are, with damage from that early crash, this is their chance. This is the best opportunity they might get all season to get some points here, because this is the lowest car count that we might see all season. And it's going to be really exciting here for this battle. They all really want it. They know what's at stake. They know how big those points could be and getting their season moving in the right direction, and I'm sure that's going to be on their mind as they fight those out. Also worth mentioning is the student driver points standings. Jason Wallet, 10th place, is on 4 points in the student points, which is different from the overall points. It's a bit more generous with how you get it takes alumni out of the standings, giving you basically your points in relation to every other college student in the race. So Wallet is 4 from there, and Aiken Lamar is right behind him with 2 in that standings. Alumni as well, Mark Turek is towards the bottom of those standings. He's actually second last, only ahead of Nick Stockner, who is not in the race tonight, and he'll be hoping to make up some ground on Alexander Diamond, who is also not in the race tonight. Maybe get around him in the point standings. As we continue to watch Jason Wallet right now of Drexel University, still on that back bumper of Aiken Lamar. We've seen him back there for a lot of laps now, just trying to make a move happen, but he hasn't been able to do it. Lamar passed him about 4 laps ago, and since then Wallet has kind of been stuck in his slipstream, unable to actually make the move happen to get around him and get that position. Mark Turek behind him. We get a car in the pits. I believe that is an unscheduled pit stop from the St. Clair car of Alan Hong, who I believe has just retired from the race, likely in relation to the damage sustained on that lap 1 accident he had with his teammate Adrian Tubakovic. So he is out of the race, our first casualty, our first victim of the attrition tonight from St. Clair College, leaving us with 12 cars in the field for the remainder 3/4 of this race. It's Hunter Hadesty right now in 6th in that points position, about 7/10 back of Bradley Skinker from Ball State. Lucas Moody from Ball State another half a second behind him. This battle we've seen, the 2 main battles all night so far have really been this battle for 5th and this battle for 9th. And those are the 2 we've really been watching. Both battles have kind of closed up a little over time. We saw the gaps at about a second apiece earlier, and now Lucas Moody is within a 1/4 of a second of Hunter Hadesty down this straightaway, looking to try and make an overtake happen. It's not going to happen here. If he can get it into that corner, it'll be really good, because that's one of the best passing zones on this racetrack, and he is well within striking distance, and he's going to go for it right here. Lucas Moody up the inside of Hunter Hadesty to put that Ball State car in the 6th position, and that's going to give him a chance to chase down his teammate Bradley Skinker for a top 5. Ball State up to 2, 3, 5, and 6. Only interrupted right now by the University of Alabama Huntsville's Ryan Whitlock, currently 4th place in that machine. As Jordan Johnson, our race leader, has taken off tonight. He's leading by pretty considerable margin. 4 seconds right now over Muhammad Alif. But, I mean, that's not far enough to where he can be comfortable. I mean, we've seen mistakes from him this season. We've seen mistakes that have cost him seconds, and if he makes one of those at the wrong time, like he did in our first race of the season in Indianapolis, we could see a big chance for Muhammad Alif to come up and steal a win out from under him tonight. We can see a replay right now of that pass Lucas Moody made on Hunter Hadesty. See him getting in the slipstream. He had a really good exit to that corner. Was able to pull alongside through the turn 3 area and just make it rapid right up the inside. Still kind of early in this race. Hadesty not trying too hard to defend there, but it's a good overtake from Lucas Moody, and that'll give him a chance to join his teammates in the Ball State cars further up towards the front of the pack. To continue to watch, Hunter Hadesty continues to hound his bumper. Moody hasn't made too much progress so far on his teammate in Bradley Skinker. He's ran about a lap since that overtake was made, and he's still about a second back. Hadesty has also held pretty strong, about 0.6 behind him, and that is what's making this race exciting at the moment. Some pretty big gaps behind this line of cars. I mean, it's 10 seconds back to Burrell, 18 to Aiken Lamar, 1.5 to Wallet, and then we've got a battle once again between the Pennsylvania cars for the last point spot in this race. Jason Wallet and Mark Turek, both Pennsylvania drivers, one from Drexel, one from the Penn College of Technology. Probably the closest rivalry on distance that we have in this race between the two schools. Which, you know, it's always fun. It's always fun to beat someone from your own state. Personally, University of Oklahoma, I've raced against Oklahoma drivers, not just in the CIL, but in the eNASCAR series, and it's always fun to get a leg up on them and to show that you are the better school in your state, and they suck. Jason Wallet and Mark Turek both probably wanting to prove that here as Turek got that gap down to under a quarter of a second, right on the bumper here through this tight, twisty section, one of few of those on the racetrack, through what is essentially a giant chicane. Back out here onto the straightaway. These straightaways are pretty good passing zones, but we haven't seen too many passes actually get made in them yet. As Turek stays on the bumper of Jason Wallet. Still trying to make this pass happen. I think Turek might be the faster car right now, but he might not be fast enough to actually make the overtake happen on Jason Wallet from Drexel. Back up further up the field towards Hunter Hadesty in 7th, running right behind Lucas Moody in 6th. First of 2 Clemson cars in the field is Hunter Hadesty, and the last of 4 Ball State cars in the field is Lucas Moody. See them currently 6th and 7th on the order. This is the battle, again, that we've seen going on pretty much all race. We've seen Hunter Hadesty or Moody on the back of each other's cars. Only one overtake made so far. We saw Hadesty get past Moody a couple laps ago. And that has continued here as as Moody hasn't quite gotten away, and we still see Hadesty on his bumper right here, trying to make a move happen through the final corner of this racetrack back out onto the front straightaway. Maybe a bit of a chance to slipstream here as they head down the straightaway into the hairpin. That is turn 1 on this racetrack. He's going to look for it, but he's going to think better of it. Tucks back in line behind him. Not quite close enough to make the move, and I don't think he's quite close enough to get the slipstream that Moody got that let him make a pass in this exact same section of the racetrack. No, but he is right there trying to make this pass happen. Continuing to fight Hunter Hadesty. Wants that spot back, wants to continue to interrupt this Ball State train as Lucas Moody looks ahead of him to his teammate Bradley Skinker, also of Ball State, to try and make something happen here tonight. A little closer to that corner through the chicane, but he still can't quite get there, and we're looking back now at the battle for 10. A little bit of a mistake I saw there from Aiken Lamar has let Jason Wallet close right back up to his bumper here through turns 3 and 4. Back onto the straightaway. It's a big straightaway into a left-hander, into a hairpin. none of these corners coming up here are really what we would consider good passing opportunities. Jason Wallet is probably most likely going to have to wait all the way down to really about turn 12. That section there is the best chance you got, as we see fastest lap again from Jordan Johnson, 131.591 so far in this race. We'll see pit stops here later on, but I'm not sure if they're for tires or not. We've seen very varied strategy so far in this series of cars taking no tires, 2 tires, 4 tires to try and get a leg up on their competition and gain a little time on these pit stops that we've seen here in the race. Lucas Moody has caught up to his teammate, Bradley Skinker, for 5th. Still continuing to try and make this happen. Down through turn 2 into turn 3. No move has been made yet from these cars. But Moody's caught his teammate here for the first time all race, and I'm sure he will be looking to make a move happen. Trying the inside, he won't get there. Moody continuing to stay about half a second back of Skinker, and a very bad corner from Ryan Whitlock has let Skinker gain a whole half a second on him. A time gain he'll definitely want to keep. Might give him a little bit of space here to work to get away from his teammate Lucas Moody, who is all over the bumper right now. We're going to listen to the cars here for a second. We will be doing a crank it up, listen to the roar of these engines, and we will be back here in a couple laps for more CIL action. back from round 4 of the Collegiate Prototype Challenge at the Hungaroring. These cars, beautiful sounds, beautiful sights of this racetrack as battles continue to unfold across the racetrack. We're going to give you a bit of a rundown here of the top couple cars in this field, but right now I want to focus on this battle here. Bradley Skinker has gained about 2 seconds on Ryan Whitlock since we stepped away, and he is continuing to chase him down, try to make a move happen as his teammate Lucas Moody has closed up right behind him there in P6. Speaking of Ball State drivers, though, we got a bunch of those in the top 3. I mean, you see Cale Davidson in 3rd in that Ball State University car. 3 of his Ball State teammates are in Cadillacs. He is the only driver in the field that we see in a Porsche tonight, and he's making that work for him. You know, he has to run a different setup and develop his car a little differently to his teammates, but we haven't seen him miss a beat. He's still 3rd place in the standings, and he's P3 in this race. Our top 3 in the standings for this series are the top 3 in this race. I mean, Muhammad Alif, 2nd in the standings, 2nd in points, as we see Bradley Skinker try a move up the inside of Ryan Whitlock, but he's not able to get there, and a bad run out of the corner might cost him some time, but it's going to be made right back up for by the slipstream. That's where Moody passed Hadesty a couple laps ago, but he can't get it done into there, and he's going to fall slowly back into the crutches of his teammate, Lucas Moody, if he can't make this move happen soon on the Acura of Ryan Whitlock from the University of Alabama at Huntsville. Looking at a little bit to their teammates in 2nd place, 6 seconds back from the leader right now is Muhammad Alif. 2nd in the standings, won a race, in quotes, this year. He won the Clash. Also, technically won our first race before losing out to a time penalty that gave Jordan Johnson the win. He's always been in the fight, but he hasn't gotten a win yet this season. 3 second-place finishes, though. He is going to be hungry for one as we head into the rest of the races this season. Belle Isle next week, Le Mans after that. It's going to be multiple chances for Alif to try and get into victory lane for the first time here. And ahead of him is our race leader, Jordan Johnson, leading this race from Kent State University. He's led every lap, took the pole, been out here 6 seconds in the lead, not as dominating as we saw in earlier races this season, but he's running a really good one here, and he's keeping it up. As we see cars pitting now, Adrian Tubakovic of St. Clair was the first one in, closely followed by 3 Ball State cars, Cale Davidson, my bad, Bradley Skinker, and Lucas Moody have all come into the pits here from Ball State University. Change maybe tires, get some fuel for sure to get them to the end of this race. And that is our strategy. Andrew Burrow is in behind them in 8th for Clemson. Top 4 cars on the track right now, Jordan, Alif, Whitlock, and Hadesty have all stayed out for the time being. Okay. We got a replay here of a crash from Drexel University's Jason Wallet. He was fighting for the last points position, and he spins out. Bit on the throttle early in the chicane, and he can't get that thing turned around. He's into the wall. He is struggling to get it back moving, and because of that, he has lost out to Mark Turek right now for that 10th spot as things go. We see Aiken Lamar into the pits from Howard Community College. And our 2nd place car is in the pits as well. That's Muhammad Alif of Ball State University making his pit stop. You see Wallet side by side with Burrell there. Burrell has made a pit stop. Wallet has not. So once that cycles around, that's not going to be for a position, but that is maybe for pride for Jason Wallet, trying to give himself some confidence after that spin he had, costing him that points position and moving him to... I'm not sure if Tubakovic is going to come back out or if he is fixing damage in the pits. So if Tubakovic does not come back out, that will put Wallet last car running once this cycles around. If Tubakovic does come out, he will be 2nd last car running in that 11th position. As Ryan Whitlock has followed Muhammad Alif into the pits. Alif is back out. Whitlock is still down, and it's going to be interesting to see how he cycles out in relation to Ball State's Cale Davidson and Bradley Skinker. He was pretty close to Skinker before that stop happened, and it's going to be interesting to see where he blends out in relation. We're seeing him coming out of the pits right now, getting it back up to speed. And yeah, he's going to come out well ahead. Bad stop for Lucas Moody, who has lost, I believe, 11 seconds to Bradley Skinker on pit road and counting. 13. 14. He is in the pits again. So either he has had some kind of accident or he has had a pit road penalty. We're going to see what's happened to Lucas Moody. Ooh! And trouble for the Ball State car. Lucas Moody on cold tires, fresh out of the pits, head on into the wall, and that car is likely totaled. I'm not sure how he's going to get that back out. That's going to be a lot of damage for that Ball State car to try and fix. I mean, that might be the end of his race, as we see Hunter Hadesty in the pits in second. I believe Jordan Johnson is the only car yet to come down. Adrian Tubakovic is also still in the pits. We haven't seen him back out on the racetrack in about 3 laps now, which would leave 10 cars running, would mean everyone out there right now would get points, and would give the current 10th place spot to Aiken Lamar. I believe once this cycles around, Jason Wallet will be demoted to 10th, as he is one of 2 drivers in the field who have not made a pit stop yet, along with the race leader, Kent State's Jordan Johnson. Mark Turek, oh yeah, also has not pit there, sitting 7th in between the 2 Clemson cars. And yes, Adrian Tubakovic has officially retired from the race. Provisionally, we have 11 cars. I don't think Lucas Moody is going to be able to get that car back out on the racetrack. So that'll leave us with 10 cars. For the 2nd week in a row, every St. Clair car in the race has finished last. Last week at Daytona, we saw 23 cars take the green. St. Clair finished 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. In this race, we saw 13 take the green, and St. Clair has finished 12th and 13th. You don't want to say this, but it has been potentially the worst possible season they could have had so far. I mean, they've had 9, I believe this is actually going to be their 11th start in the 4 races. We saw 3 drivers for them in the first 3 races and 2 tonight. And across all of those starts, they have less points than Macomb Community College, who has had exactly 1 driver enter for 1 race, that being Daniel Nanny. So definitely not at all the start they wanted, and one that is leaving them grasping for straws in the point standings, only ahead of Guildford College, who has only had 1 entry all season. As Bradley Skinker is continuing to hunt down Ryan Whitlock here for 4th position. This is the closest battle on the racetrack right now. Actually, for position. Wallet, we've seen him near a couple cars, but we've also seen that Wallet has not made a pit stop yet, which is putting him pretty far off sequence in comparison to the car he's chasing down, Andrew Burrell. I guess chasing down isn't the right word. It's more getting blown away from by Andrew Burrell. As Bradley Skinker continues in 5th. Hunter Hadesty 5 behind him in 6th. And Ryan Whitlock 4th for the University of Alabama Huntsville. It's pretty interesting on pit strategy. I mean, we've seen Muhammad Alif has picked up about a 1.5 seconds on Jordan Johnson since the pit stop, which is making me wonder, will the overcut that Johnson, Turek, and Wallet are taking actually work out for them, or will they get blown through by the cars that have just pitted? Will Alif be able to use that pit stop to close up the gap to make something happen here and give us some entertainment here for the win late in this race tonight? Skinker continuing about a 1.5 seconds. He's losing time to Ryan Whitlock there in 4th, who I'm sure it's not the best position, but I don't think he can be too upset with this. I mean, crashed out last week, has not had the season he has wanted by any means, as I've said multiple times this race, but this is going to be big for him. I mean, this is almost going to double his points tally from the first 3 races this season, and it's going to be really big. It's a nice, clean race for a driver that we've seen have some struggles this season. Johnson, Alif, Davidson are top 3. Whitlock in 4th. Bradley Skinker in 5th. Hunter Hadesty, I believe, is our current alumni champion for this race. on the basis of that he is one of only 3 alumni in the field tonight. The Alumni Championship coming down to Clemson's Hunter Hadesty and Andrew Burrell, along with the Penn College of Technology's Mark Turek. And right now, Hunter Hadesty is leading that battle by 25 seconds over his teammate at Clemson. Andrew Burrell, as Mark Turek, we see come into the pits for his scheduled pit stop. He was one of the drivers that tried the overcut. He'll come out 7 seconds or so back from Howard Community College's Aiken Lamar, but he should be able to get 9th back once Jason Wallet finally makes that right turn down pit road. If he does at all, because, I mean, we've seen Jordan Johnson and Jason Wallet run really long. I don't think the fuel tanks can go that far, but, I mean, we saw last week at Daytona, Jordan Johnson pulled off 1 less pit stop than every other car in the field, and he used that to his advantage to win by 58 seconds. I don't know if the same thing is possible tonight, but he's definitely run about 5 laps longer than our Muhammad Alif, and I'm doubting Alif took tires because of the fact that the gap has stayed pretty steady over this run. It's gone down by about a second and a half. That's not really enough to be a substantial difference. If Alif was on warmer tires or on fresher tires, we would have seen him gain a lot more, as we've seen Andrew Burrell pull about 4 seconds away from Jason Wallet just in that battle for 7th back there. Every car is very spaced out right now on the racetrack. I believe the closest battle would actually be Whitlock, who is rapidly pulling away from the Ball State car of Bradley Skinker, running 5th position at the minute. We're 3/4 of the way through this race. It's not a 30-lap race, but it is a 45-minute timed race, and based on that time, we are estimating 30 laps. That might change based on a Jordan Johnson pit stop, as he is one of only 2 cars in the field not to do that yet. But we are yet to determine whether it's going to be 30, 29, 31, something in the middle. For now, provisionally, we are about 7 laps to go in our event tonight from the Hungaroring, Hungary's premier racing circuit. Alif continuing about 47 seconds back of Jordan Johnson, 14 further back to his teammate Cale Davidson, 10 to Ryan Whitlock of the University of Alabama at Huntsville. Bradley Skinker 3 further back in 5th. Rounds out that top 5 for Ball State University. Hunter Hadesty from Clemson in 6th, and his teammate Andrew Burrell 27 seconds back in 7th. Jason Wallet of Drexel 6.5 back, one of only 2 drivers in the field yet to make a pit stop there in 8th. Howard Community College's Aiken Lamar is going to get his first points of the season in 9th, and Mark Turek from the Penn College of Technology, last car running, P10. We've seen Lucas Moody, who's currently 11th, have a big shunt. He is currently in the pits. We're not sure if he's going to be able to get that car back out on track before the race is over, but the entire nose of the car was gone, and I think both front suspensions were broken, so I'm not entirely sure we'll see that car again before the night is over. The 2 St. Clair cars also both out. Adrian Tubakovic and Alan Hong, I believe, kind of like lingering damage sustained from their accidents they had on lap 1 when they crashed into each other, which would, I believe, be the 2nd time in 2 races these St. Clair cars have crashed into each other. As we see Cale Davidson continue around here. Potentially an incident for Jason Wallet, who has just had that 7-second gap he had to Aiken Lamar get completely erased. He's now behind him in P9. We're going to see the replay of Jason Wallet having a moment. Oh, yep. Spins it out down into turn 1. Doesn't hit anything, so I don't believe he has damage, but that can't be good for his tires, which already aren't in a great position for the fact that he's one of 2 cars not to make a pit stop yet. Jason Wallet continues now in that Cadillac V Series R. 1 second back of Wallet or Lamar, and our leader is into the pits. Jordan Johnson from Kent State University makes his first and only pit stop of the race here on lap 25 of 30. You see him driving through that horrendously broken car of Lucas Moody from Ball State into that last pit stall. He won by being the pole sitter for tonight, and we will see how far ahead he gets out of our Muhammad Alif, and it is gonna be way ahead. Wow. So he went into the when Alif went into the pits, the gap was 6 seconds. Jordan Johnson is going to come out of the pits to complete the cycle 18 seconds ahead of R. Muhammad Alif. We also see Jason Wallet into the pits from Drexel. He is the last car to make a pit stop in this race, and he will come out in a pretty distant 10th position. But with only 10 finishers of this race, he'll get his first points finish of the season. So not all bad for him. He will get 10 points just by virtue of not crashing severely. I mean, 4 of our 5 drivers, I believe, are going to score their first points of the season tonight. Let me just clarify with the standings here. Yes, Andrew Burrell, currently sitting on 0 points, is running 7th. Aiken Lamar, sitting on 0 points, is running 8th. Mark Turek, sitting all the way down in the standings, is running 9th. And Jason Wallet of Drexel is running 10th. I believe he will actually be the first Drexel driver of the 2 we've seen in this series. My bad, the 3 that we've seen in this series so far to get on the board and score himself some points tonight. Battle between Bradley Skinker here and Ryan Whitlock. We saw that gap up at about 1 second. It went up to 3 seconds and has since cut back down to about 1.5 seconds, hopefully setting up an exciting finish there for the 4th position between Whitlock and Skinker, those 2 cars. We continue to take a look here. Yes, okay. So Bradley Skinker, 1.7 back of Ryan Whitlock. Hasn't been able to make that move. I mean, we've seen Whitlock 4th, Skinker 5th for essentially the entire race so far. And right now that is looking to continue. We will see Andrew Burrell and Hunter Haigesty are both going to pick up some pretty good points for Clemson. I mean, their highest driver is Andrew Williams, who is not running in this race. He is 13th. Haigesty only 2 behind, though, and that 6th position is going to jump him well ahead, not just of Andrew Williams in the points, but ahead of several drivers who didn't make it tonight. Ben Fiore of Marist College, Kiziel of FIU. All these drivers that have not been able to get the points, they're going to be jumped by that Hunter Haigesty car from Clemson. They're also, Andrew Burrell's going to move ahead of cars like Lucas Diaz, Clint Halterman, who didn't take the grid tonight. Aiken Lamar is going to move up a couple spots. A lot of shifting happening in the point standings after this race from these 10 drivers, who will all get points as being essentially the only 10 finishers, barring Lucas Moody coming back out on the racetrack multiple laps down. Continuing to watch Bradley Skinker, the only battle under 5 seconds, really, on this racetrack, is Bradley Skinker looking on University of Alabama Huntsville's Ryan Whitlock for 4th. Continuing to come around there, we're going to see him through the latter section of this racetrack. Turns 13, turns 14, getting it back out onto the main straightaway here. 4 to go in the CIL College Prototype Challenge. Race 4, the Hungary Grand Prix tonight. Grand Prix of Hungary. Bradley Skinker down into turn 1 and still dropping. I mean, I think he might need a mistake from Ryan Whitlock at this point. It's a good run out of the corner, but with only 4 laps to go, he's 2.2 back, and he hasn't shown the speed I think he would need to be able to make something happen for that position. Cadillac. 3 of the Ball State cars in those Cadillacs. It's a Leaf, Skinker, and the damaged and out of the race. Oh, my bad. Lucas Moody's actually, as I talk about him, has come back out onto the racetrack 8 laps down, directly in front of race leader Jordan Johnson, which might get a little interesting here, as I'm imagining Moody might not have the speed to get away, depending on how much he was actually able to repair that car. I mean, we saw that thing head on into the wall, both suspensions broken, the entire front end of it basically ripped away. He's only got 3 laps to go, but I mean, the race leader, Jordan Johnson, is behind him. Maybe a bit of a hurdle he might have to clear here towards the end of the race. Johnson in that Acura car, not driven by too many other drivers. I believe Ryan Whitlock is in it tonight. Cale Davidson from Ball State is in a Porsche, and I believe most of the rest of the field, maybe the entire rest of the field tonight, was running the Cadillac prototype car. A lot of variety in the series, in cars, team setups. You know what you expect from the CIL. A lot of variation here in the field tonight. That 2-car, Jordan Johnson, though, continuing to just get away. I mean, we've seen him dominate this season. It was a talking point at Daytona that his 58.5-second win over Muhammad Alif was the biggest win in the history of the CIL. As we had the 1 to go this time, yet the white flag is just waved for Jordan Johnson. So this is going to be the checkered right here. We're showing 2 laps to go. I believe this is actually the final lap right here. Jordan Johnson catching up, and that lap car of Lucas Moody is going to let him through to go 9 laps down now. For the final time, it's Jordan Johnson around the Hungaroring to close out what has been an absolutely dominating performance over Muhammad Alif, Cale Davidson, Brian Whitlock, and Bradley Skinker, who might actually try to make that fight for 5th. Interesting after all, only 0.6 of a second back. Heading around, he's going to have 1 lap to try and get him. They're going to take the white flag right here. We're going to see if he can actually get him here on this last lap. As our race leader, Jordan Johnson, continues to walk around. We'll also watching that battle for 5th there between Skinker and Whitlock. Jordan Johnson flying around this racetrack one last time to make it home. He's got that lap car. I believe that's Andrew Burrell of Clemson in front of him, but he's going to make it all the way around through turn 10 into turn 11. My bad, that's turn 13. I'm not, I can't read. Jordan Johnson through turn 14, the final turn at the Hungaroring. And Jordan Johnson is going to win the College Prototype Challenge Hungary Grand Prix. It's going to be Muhammad Alif, 18 seconds back, is going to take 2nd. We'll see Cale Davidson come around to take 3rd. But 4th place is still up in the air between Brian Whitlock and Bradley Skinker, who we've seen on the bumper all race, but he hasn't been able to get the pass happen. Running out of time, way off track there. He might have to give that up, depending on how kind track limits are going to be to him here. We will see. It's coming around turn 13. He's going to have 1 chicane, and I think he's too far back. So that's going to give 4th to Ryan Whitlock. And rounding out our top 5 tonight will be a 3rd Ball State car, Bradley Skinker from Ball State University. And I believe the other 2 cars on the lead lap will be Hunter Hadesty and Andrew Burrell of Clemson University, respectively. Fun race tonight for the CIL. Jordan Johnson continues his streak of domination in this series. 4 of 4. 4 straight wins in 4 straight races he has won. Every race he has shown up to. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be an exciting season. We'll see if anyone can catch him in the points so we can continue to do this. Here's our last car across the line. About a whole lap later from Jordan Johnson, it is Andrew Burrell of Clemson University to finish this race off, and that means we can get these final results ready for you from the Collegiate iRacing League at the Hungaroring. Jordan Johnson coming to the start-finish line to celebrate his win. Parking it right under the checkered flag, and it's time for donuts. Jordan Johnson. Burn him down for the 4th time this season at the Hungaroring. If Cale Davidson's coming up behind him there. Parking it right in the middle of his burnout. As we see our results for the College Prototype Challenge Hungarian Grand Prix, our race winner, Jordan Johnson from Kent State University. Right behind him, it's Ball State's R. Muhammad Alif in second, and his teammate, Cale Davidson, in third. Brian Whitlock from the University of Alabama Huntsville brings it home fourth, and Bradley Skinker, our third Ball State car, rounds out the top five. Two Clemson cars in 6th and 7th with Hunter Hadesty and Andrew Burrell. Aiken Lamar from Howard Community College takes 8th tonight, getting his first points of the season. So do Mark Turek from the Pennsylvania College of Technology and Jason Wallet from Drexel University. All those last four drivers getting some well-earned points tonight. And rounding out our field for the evening, Ball State University's Lucas Moody will finish about 9 laps down after a huge accident, and St. Clair's Adrian Tubakovic and Alan Hong will finish last and second last after running into each other lap 1. Austin DeLong from Penn College of Technology was our wonderful steward tonight, and Clint Halterman did not take the green flag. And we're getting set for some interviews here, getting some people up the elevator into the booth, prepared for congratulations and tonight's interviews for our lovely broadcast we've got going on here. It's been a great race. I will not have a voice on Monday, and it will be because of the pure excitement we had tonight from this event. As we get our first place finisher into the booth tonight.
Third place first.
My bad. We'll get our third place finisher into the booth because he got up the elevator first. It's going to be Cale Davidson from Ball State. Hey, Cale. Congrats on the third place finish tonight. We've seen a really consistent season from you. We haven't really seen you able up there to challenge with Alif and Johnson as much, but we've seen you get some pretty consistent third place finishes. Do you think you might be able to get up there and maybe challenge for some wins here as we head on later into this season?
First off, I want to apologize because we have our esports casters are broadcasting, so if you hear them screaming in the background, that's what that is. But yeah, kind of about that. I don't know. I think it's just kind of a setup game at this point. Because I was able to kind of keep up with Alif until I got a mistake at Daytona, but obviously you look at Alif like at setups, and Alif and I had similar pace in that way, but then you just look ahead and Jordan was just gone. So I mean, driving skill does matter in this series, but it's also very heavily dependent on what setup you run, because going into this race during the 40-minute practice warm-up we had, car was not turning in. I was having trouble with putting a solid lap in, putting a clean lap in, so even before the race I was making setup changes just to try to get it somewhere to where I'd like it for tonight.
Yeah, don't worry about the noise. I think my suite mates probably had enough of me at this point. We've seen a lot of Ball State dominance this season, but you're the only car running the Porsche. The rest of the drivers in Cadillacs. So are you kind of like trying to get a setup similar to them, or are you kind of doing your own thing setup wise tonight?
I've been on my own, really. We've tried to compare setups. We've ran sessions and stuff to basically test which car is better in that kind of way. And just looking at the way the cars are set up, I think the only thing that's pretty much similar on the car is just the rear wing angle. Like everything else, for some reason it's like polar opposites with brake biases, brake migrations, roll bars, traction control. It's all so different just based off the engines and the chassis. So it's definitely interesting being the only Porsche on grid, but I mean, other than Indy, the Porsches definitely showed some decent pace.
Cool. Do you have anyone you want to thank or shout out on the broadcast tonight?
Yeah, I want to shout out my mom and dad, my teammates, Alif, Bradley, and Lucas, and then shout out our esports director, Dan Marino, and then BK, and then my grandma and grandpa, and then shout out to Indy Hood Rats for sponsoring the only Porsche on grid.
Congrats on the third place finish tonight, Cale Davidson.
Thank you.
And moving on now, we will try to bring in our second place finisher for tonight, his teammate at Ball State, R. Muhammad Alif. Hey, Alif, we just talked to your teammate, Cale Davidson, and he said he thought the key to this setup, or the key to this series and the key to challenging Jordan Johnson was going to be the setup. Do you agree with that? Do you think the setup is maybe the most important thing out here right now?
Yeah, I would agree because I think in a fixed series setup like a Super Formula, you could see how close me and Jordan were. But obviously, I think the car makes a difference as well. Acura is that much faster or slightly faster, I think, everywhere compared to the Caddy. And the setup, I mean, the reality is that Jordan is part of a professional team in an Apex Racing team, so he will get, amazing setup. So I think that's kind of what we've been seeing from the start of the season, other than probably Indy. But every other race, I think it really played the key role.
Gotcha. Yeah, congrats on the second place finish tonight. Uh, what if there is one track on the schedule for this season, one that we're coming up to that you think you might be able to challenge and really assert yourself and get a win at? What track do you think that would be?
I have no idea, to be honest, because it all depends on if yeah, it's all just depends really. But we'll keep trying, definitely. Also, for some reason, we had to play with the deployment issues as well on the caddy, but yeah, they aren't excuses. At the end of the day, we tried something different with the strategy. So usually you don't change tires in these races. We decided to short fuel the car and change the tires. And even then, on like new tires, we were still lapping like within a tenth of Jordan. So I think that kind of proves our point as to the differences. But yeah, I mean, we tried. At least we tried, and good execution, I'd say. But yeah, still a bit more.
Gotcha. Well, anyone you want to thank or shout out on the broadcast tonight?
Yeah, my whole team, Lucas, Bradley, Kale, all our oval drivers as well. Brendan, BK, and Dan, who's our esports directors, and Dean Turner for all the support, as well as our family. It's my family back in Singapore.
Congrats on the second place finish tonight, Muhammad Alif. And now we are going to bring into the booth our first place finisher and our race winner tonight, if we can, hopefully soon, Jordan Johnson. Get him in here really quick. All right, Jordan Johnson, congrats on the win tonight. You've won 4 straight races now in this series. What do you think is the secret that's helping you get it done week in and week out?
Well, a lot of time in the Acura as is. I think since the Acura has come out, I think paired with it was the Porsche, it's been kind of the main car I've driven in terms of GTPs at least. So I have a lot of seat time in the car, very, very comfortable with it. As well as, of course, just the work that I put into the car, coming into some of the special events, and of course everything I've done with my team recently, we've put in a lot of time with it. So a culmination of a lot of little things. I think really once you start getting to the top level stuff, that's what it ends up being a matter of.
And we were talking to Muhammad Alif and Cale Davidson, the podium finishers tonight, and they were saying that they think probably the biggest thing in this series right now is the fact that it's open setup. Would you agree with that? Do you think that's kind of the key to success here?
I definitely wouldn't deny that it plays a part. I think that maybe for Alif and I, it is probably one of the biggest deciding factors. The Acura also is really, really strong this season right now. It's impossible to deny that. Coming into most of the officials, it is really just a couple tenths faster on everything else. And I think that actually plays a bigger part than the setups that I have. Because realistically, the setups, I've ran about the same setup every single race. And it's just kind of been, it sets up the general balance for the car. If I need a little bit more, I'll adjust the ARBs or something like that. But it's not the biggest thing in the world. I think it does come down to Acura just as giving a little bit of edge, and then I'm filling in the rest of the gap from there.
All right. Congrats on the win. You got anyone you want to thank or shout out on the broadcast tonight?
Yeah, of course. My team, Apex Racing Academy, VRS, Computers, PC Systems, ART, and SDK Gaming. Just all of our partners as well that come on help us out. And all my teammates for helping me get a little bit more pace. So all the work that we put into the car week in with week out lets us just get just that much better, and definitely has contributed to my success in GTPs.
Congrats on the win once again of our winner tonight, Jordan Johnson.
Thank you.
Been a really fun race tonight for the Collegiate iRacing League's College Prototype Challenge from the Hungaroring, but it's not all. We've got a lot of action coming ahead in the CIL in upcoming weeks. Next week, on Monday, February 12th, we've got Charlotte Roval and the Switch Up 200 presented by the band The Familiar Strange. That'll be 9 p.m. Eastern from the Charlotte Roval. In the Formula C College Cup, we've got the Nürburgring GP Wednesday night, February 14th. That'll be the 5th race of their season. And coming up next week in the College Prototype Challenge, it's the 5th race of our season. Belle Isle, same time, next Thursday night, from Belle Isle in Detroit. Always a very fun time, famous from IndyCar. It's a great track. That'll do it tonight for our coverage of the Collegiate iRacing League's Grand Prix of Hungary in the College Prototype Challenge. We thank you a lot for watching. Congrats again to our winner, Jordan Johnson. Thank you for watching, and have a good night.